Why do you keep lying to the immigrants? Why do you keep telling them that they can come to the United States of America without immigration documents? What is the purpose of this? What is the point? What is your motivation for continuing the lie? You know it's a lie. Everyone knows it's a lie. Everyone knows that in order to legally immigrate to the United States of America, that you have to have immigration documents. Why do you continue to tell them that they don't need documentation to immigrate to this country? What is the purpose? Are you stupid? Or are you what are you trying to make their life more difficult? Obviously, their life is going to be significantly more difficult in the United States by not having documents than it would be if they just had documentation. There would be so much less riffraff, so much less strife, a lot less arguing if you just told them the truth. The truth is that this nation is a nation of documentation from day one. This country started with a document called the Declaration of Independence. That document said we intend to divorce ourselves from the kingdom of the British Empire. Our founding fathers wrote another document called the Constitution that outlines the law of the land and the type of government that the United States will live under. We have another document called the Bill of Rights. The Bill of Rights that outlines the rights that you have as a citizen of the United States of America. Those are like three of the most important founding documents of this country. Why are you telling immigrants that they don't need documentation to live in this country? It's a lie. Why are you lying to them? You have documents that explain how you came to live in the United States of America. You do. If you were born in the United States of America, the details of your birth were written down, and your parents were provided a document called your birth certificate. The day and time and place that you were born, your name, it's all documented on your birth certificate. Shortly after that, you were issued a unique identification number, and a document was provided called a Social Security card. More documents. A few years after you were born, most likely your parents enrolled you for school. In order to do that, your parents had to provide documentation to the school. And then the school provided your parents documentation to confirm that you have been enrolled at this school as a student. And then you went to school, and they taught you the alphabet, they taught you numbers, they taught you how to fill out forms. They taught you how to write your name and today's date and your date of birth and your mom's name and your dad's name and the name of your first pet and the name of the street that you live on. They taught you all of these things. They taught you how to fill out forms. And then they documented the progress of your education through a series of tests. And your test results were documented. Pass, fail, 90%, 70%. A, B, C, D, E. Well, not E, F. A, B, C, D, F. Which is weird. But anyway, your progress, your educational progress was documented for first grade, second grade, third grade. Your entire general education was documented. And at the end of all of that, after 12 years of education, for most people anyway, they provided you yet another document, a certification of completion of your general education, a diploma. At the end of your general education, they said, look, we have taught this person how to read, to write, to fill out forms, to take tests. Here is a document that proves this. This is your diploma. And after you got your diploma, you might have thought, I am still stupid and I need more information. I still got to do some reading. And you filled out forms for yet another school. You provided more documents to go to another school. And then that school provided you documents confirming that you have enrolled in these new courses. Maybe it was a university, a community college, a trade school. Once again, your progress in this course, whether it's trade school, college, university, your progress is documented. And at the end of your progress, they cap that off with yet another document, a certificate of completion, a technical certificate, a degree. Congratulations, bitch, you're a fucking nurse now. Or, dude, you know how to weld. You're a doctor. You're a lawyer. You have the certification. You have a document proving that you did this thing. And you can now stand in this spot and say, I'm allowed to be here and talk about this thing. I'm allowed to be here and do this job. When you apply for a job, you have to fill out forms and provide documentation about who you are as a person and your experiences that make you qualified to do this job. Why are you telling immigrants that they don't need to provide documentation of their immigration? It's a lie. You know it's a lie. There's no excuse at this point. There is no way you can feign ignorance and say that you didn't know. We all know that they require documentation, and every time you tell them that they don't require documentation and they come here, you put them at risk of deportation. And just like everything else in America, if it can go wrong, it will go wrong at the worst possible time. Why aren't you telling them the truth? Why can't you just tell them the truth? What is so hard about telling immigrants the truth that they need to have documents to come to the United States, and that if they have those documents, they are pretty much like almost 100% shielded from the possibility of being deported? If you would just tell them the truth, we wouldn't have this problem. Like I said, when you apply for a job, when you want to get a house, you want to live in an apartment, you want to buy a home, guess what? You're filling out forms, you're putting your name and today's date and your date of birth and your social security number, your current address, your email address, phone number, the name of the street that you grew up on, your first pet's name, 3 people that don't think you're an asshole. You have to fill out forms for everything. And when it comes to government, nothing is instant gratification. Nothing. There is nothing in the government that you have to fill out a form for that they immediately say, okay, you're good. Never. It never happens immediately. There is always a process. It always takes time. Whether it's applying for your driver's license or applying to come immigrate and being a citizen of the United States, there is always a waiting process. Always. Everything. You can never walk into a government office, hand them a fucking piece of paper, and they immediately say, yeah, you're good to go. It never fucking happens, dude. Why are you telling immigrants that they don't need documentation? We have laws that require businesses to provide you documentation when you buy a coffee and a donut. Do you not understand? Do you not get it? When you go to Starbucks and you bought your grande latte fucking mocha bullshit fucking frappuccino crap and a fucking cookie, they gave you a receipt. That receipt is documentation that you were here at this Starbucks location in this town, managed by this person. This was your cashier. This is how much you spent. This is what we gave you. This is the time of day that you were here. All of this is documented. Everything. When you die, the people that you leave behind will have to fill out forms that detail the circumstances of your death. Because a headstone or an urn full of ashes ain't evidence enough that you're no longer drawing breath. No, there has to be a form that gets filled out, and then somebody issues a document called a death certificate, just like your birth certificate. Everything is documented. Why are you lying? Why are you telling immigrants that they don't need to document their immigration? Everything else gets documented. When you open a bank account, you have to provide documentation of who you are. And then they give you documents confirming that you're now a member of the bank. You're now a customer. What are you talking about that they don't want? Listen, everybody that gets deported because of not having documents, of being undocumented, it's your fault. Because everyone else understands that you need documents to immigrate to any country, not just the United States. But you keep lying to them and telling them that it's not necessary. It's an optional thing. We don't really give a fuck. Actually, people do give a fuck. The government is very anal about documenting who people are and where they're at and what they're fucking doing. So why do you keep lying to the immigrants and telling them that they don't need documentation? They very clearly do need documentation, and every time you tell them that they don't need it, and they believe it because they don't know, they don't live here, they just think, oh yeah, I guess they don't really care. They come here only to find out that, yeah, there are people that really do care if they have their documentation. You put them at risk of being deported at the worst possible time by telling them that they don't need their documentation. Why do you keep lying to them? Why can't you just tell them the truth? Why can't you just tell them, yes, in order to live here, regardless of where you're coming from, what country you're coming from, regardless of the conditions of the country that you are coming from, whether it's first world, totally peaceful, or third world, currently being bombed out, does not matter. We have to know where you're coming from and why you're coming here. Who are you? What is your name? How do we get a hold of you? Why is this so difficult for you to just tell them that truth? Why do you consistently and insistently lie to them? Why do you keep putting them in harm's way? Why can't you just be normal and tell them, yeah, if you want to come here, we'd love to have you. But there are forms that you have to fill out, and you do have to wait until you get your documents. And then once you get here, you have documents that say you can stand here. Nothing can be done about it then. Nobody can deport you unless you do some seriously heinous crimes. You cannot be deported just for being here as long as you have your documents. If you would just tell them the truth, you wouldn't have to worry about your friends being deported. And I'll tell you what, if you would have just told them the truth 20 years ago, Donald Trump would not be your president right now. The fact that you continue to lie to immigrants and tell them that they don't need documentation to come to the United States is why Donald Trump is your president. It is your fault. All of it. You know why? Because the main thing that Donald Trump has won 2 terms on has been undocumented immigration. The first time he told this country, if you elect me, I will build a wall, and anybody who doesn't have a document can stay the fuck on the other side of that wall. And what did you do? Instead of just telling the immigrants the truth and saying, yes, you do need documents. Don't come here without documents because it's a problem for you, it's a problem for me, it's a problem for all of us. If you come here without documents, you put yourself at risk of deportation if you're here without documents. You should have been telling them that. But instead, you called everyone racist, like always. The second time he campaigned, his campaign was built on, there are too many people without documents here, and we are going to find those people and get them the fuck out of here. And you still just can't bring yourself to tell the immigrants the truth. That documents are required to immigrate not just to the United States, but to literally any country on this planet. We are a nation of documentation. We started with documents, and every single day we create new documents, and everything that you do is documented. So why are you lying to them, and why are you telling them that they don't need immigration documents? If you are still telling them that they don't need to be documented, you need to shut the fuck up, because we are tired of the lie. Everyone is tired of the lie. All of these riots, all of these protests, all of these hippie fucking drum circles that happen every time somebody gets deported, it's because you won't stop lying. Just stop lying. Stop fucking telling them to come here without documents. Solve the problem. Just say, yes, we have immigration laws. It is required to have documents before you come to the States. Be patient. Fill out your form. Write down your name and your date of birth and your address or whatever the fuck you can do, whatever information you can provide, whatever is required by the immigration documents. Put it on the piece of paper, send it in, and this is a preview of what it's like living in America anyway. This is what you should get used to. Living in America means every other day you have to fill out a fucking document. You have to write down your name and your date of birth and your address and your phone number and your email and the street that you lived on when you were a kid and the name of your first pet and 3 people that you can refer to who won't call you an asshole if we ask about you. This is from day one till the day you die, and then after you die, they do it for you one final time around. So why can you not just tell them to get their documents? Stop lying.